Welcome back to your Bestie in Freight. I'm Lida, and here we keep it real, raw, and all about freight, logistics, and the business behind it. No fluff, just facts and stories that move the industry forward. Today is a special episode as we are recording this after Memorial Day week, a time to honor and remember those who have made the ultimate sacrifice for our country. And today's guest is someone who knows service and leadership firsthand. We had some technical difficulties, but we are back. My powerhouse guest for today is Jeffrey Price. He's an Army veteran, seven-figure entrepreneur, founder of Plan Logistics Solution, co-founder of Caliro Apps, leadership coach, and author of two incredible books on leadership and purpose. Jeffrey brings over a decade of logistics, business, and leadership experience, and he is on a mission to help leaders build, lead, and last with faith, strategy, and joy. We have got a lot to cover from military life to freight, leadership, tech, and more. So grab your favorite drink and let's get into it. Jeffrey, welcome to the show, and I'm so happy to have you here.
Yeah, it's great to be here. Great to connect with you. And I'm just excited to just share this journey and go on this journey with
Perfect. Jeffrey, first of all, thank you for your service. Since we are recording this after Memorial Day week, I would love to start here. What does Memorial Day personally mean to you as a veteran?
That's an excellent question to start. So for me, Day is really in reverence of my grandfather. My grandfather met my grandmother while doing training in Panama, and while he was there, he met my father at the basketball. My grandmother was already had kids from a previous marriage, and he just accepted my grandmother everything, which included my mother. Day his legacy to accomplish. Unfortunately, he passed 2011, and I joined the Army in 2012. So he didn't get to see me join, but I know he's smiling from above and is just proud of the legacy that I'm carrying on for our family.
Yes, that is amazing. And I know that you had an incredible military career and you always score 100 on every Army Transportation School exam. Can you share what skills or mindset from your military experience you now apply every day in your logistics business?
Yeah, I would say three things: pain, purpose, and endurance. So with pain, there's a lot of rejection starting your own business. I mean, there's months where no after no, but having the mindset to persevere and endure, and knowing that the pain is just growth. Nobody gets better at anything without going through a season of pain. So I think the military really instilled with me environments to really not just on a personal level, but on a professional and a career level as well.
Yes, I so agree with that. I know that you opened the Plan Logistics Solution after a service and it has grown into a seven-figure freight brokerage. What inspired you to start this company and what was your biggest challenge transitioning from military service to entrepreneurship?
What inspired me was I started the company in the midst of it. I had just finished years in the Army, supply chain, and when COVID hit, they furloughed their North American supply chain division, with the exception of employees that knew everything in logistics, the procurement side, the supplier side, the warehousing side, transportation side, the banking side. At that point, I'm like, wow, if a multi-billion-dollar company is willing to keep somebody like me, then I should definitely pursue entrepreneurship, which has always been on my heart. So at that point, I was like, you know what, I'm going to go for it. And the biggest hurdle for me when I first having capital, freight broker, you kind of need money to start it as far as paying carriers. You don't have credit established. So for me to raise capital, I had to take out a home equity line of credit, put everything out of my 401k. And it's because I'm like, you know what? If I'm going to do this, let me go. I want to fully invest in myself. So I'll put all the cards on the table. So, and
We lost Jeffrey. I think his connection is not good today. That's why we are having this difficulty. I'm so sorry for technical issues. Hopefully, we will have him back soon. Yes, we have Jeffrey back. So, Jeffrey, logistics is such a fast-paced, high-pressure industry. How do you apply your leadership philosophy when leading your team at Plan Logistics?
One of the core principles that I teach about in leadership is engagement. Learn that from the military. And my little tagline for that is if you meet people where they are, they'll follow where you go. So even when it's on the carrier side, meeting carriers where they are, and on the shipper side, one of the things that I've seen you do that really inspired me is meeting shippers in person, going to their facilities. In a stage of where everything is virtual and where everything is AI, a simple handshake, a simple being willing to go meet people right at their facility has opened doors for me. And unfortunately, a lot of people aren't doing that anymore with everything being so internet based.
Yes, I agree. I love that you also mentor leaders through Kingdom Coaching Services. Can you please tell more about your coaching services? How the name idea came up? What is the vision behind it? Please share with us.
Yeah, well, as far as the kingdom goes, I feel like everybody has their own jungle, so to speak. I feel like everyone is a lion, everyone is a lioness, and that everybody has a sphere of influence that life has prepared for them that they should have dominion over. So the goal for the company is just to inspire people and to teach them about leadership, professional development, and confidence. I feel like right now we have a ton of people who have a lot of confidence. They speak with conviction, they're motivating, they're inspiring, but they lack leadership skills. Then on the flip side of that, you have people that are great leaders, but they lack confidence. They're too shy, they're too timid, and life rewards boldness. So my goal is to bring the lion out of every individual so they can lead their own jungle. And that's really where the inspiration of it came from.
Yeah, that is amazing. So, what are the common leadership challenges you see today's entrepreneurs and small business owners facing?
I think a big thing that we're facing right now is just retaining top talent with the economy and the way that things are going. And people are always looking for is the grass greener on the other side. But what I like to coach leaders to do is to water your own grass. If you're taking care of your own lawn, your own employees, and you're really nourishing them, pouring into them, that they'll stay around as long as you're able to provide opportunity, vision, and just something for them to see themselves in, so to speak.
Yes. Also, Jeffrey, I know you have a book, The Ins and Outs of Leadership, dives into leading with resilience and authenticity. If you could leave listeners with one practical leadership takeaway from that book, what would it be?
I would say you got to be raw. And you being from the military, we use a lot of acronyms. And the acronym for raw that I use in the book is being real, authentic, and being willing. Just being your real self, being transparent. In a day where people wear masks and smoke screens, being real and being vulnerable is really a superpower. Being authentic goes back to just integrity. If you say you're going to do it, do it. Be a man or woman of your word. And then being willing. I think a lot of about leadership is just being who's going to take the trash out first. And when there's a hard opportunity or something that needs to be done, be the first to do it. And that's what inspires people to follow.
I agree. And you have another book, Pioneering with Purpose. You talk about the six leadership bonds. I'm curious, which of those bonds do you personally find yourself leaning on the most these days?
Yeah, well, those six bones are the wishbone, which is about faith, mindset, and vision, because I believe it starts with the mind. And the wishbone is connected to your jawbone. So your jawbone is about life and death and what you speak over yourself. And the jawbone is connected to your breastbone. Your breastbone guards your heart and guards your lungs. So if you're pioneering and you're building, you know what to say yes to as far as your passions and how to just stop and take a breath. And the breastbone is connected to your knee bone, which is about being surrendered, being humble, having a posture of humility. And the knee bone is connected to the backbone, which is about courage and resilience. And finally, the funny bone is about joy for the journey. So I would say the bone out of those six that hits home for me in this season of my life right now is really the breastbone. It's knowing how to take a breath. Oftentimes when we're building, we never take a moment to step back and just, I made it, I accomplished something. Give myself a pat on the back because we're always going, we're always pursuing something. And just like almost like working out or lifting weights, if you're not breathing while you're lifting weights or pushing yourself, you'll literally pass out and start shaking. And a lot of times when we're building, if we're not taking that breath to really breathe, we'll be in the same position. So I think the bone that really hits home for me is the breastbone, and just to take a step back and breathe and just enjoy what I've been able to build so thus far.
Wow, that is amazing. And I so agree with you. Sometimes we just need to appreciate what we have done and give ourselves grace and be grateful what we have already, right? Rather than chasing the next thing that we always do. So also, Jeffrey, you have a app. I haven't heard about it before. Kaliro app, right? It is a no-code platform from creators and small businesses. Tell us more about it. How do you balance running multiple ventures and what the app does and how do these businesses connect back to larger purpose?
Yeah, that's a great question. It's like, how am I juggling everything and not dropping everything, right? And I think where I'm at is just work-life harmony. It's really getting the buy-in. You know, as we were beginning the conversation, my 16-year-old daughter is watching my 4-month-old son while I'm talking to you. My employees are doing what they're supposed to do as far as running the freight brokerage side. So really just having the buy-in from everybody that's invested into me, that they see the bigger vision and where this is going. As far as the tech company, what we're doing is I just saw a gap to where small to medium sized businesses that are selling products or services online, they all have websites, they have all these things to run a community, but why don't they have their own app? Like, you know, you have your own community with your podcast and everything else. And we look at your link tree, there's a million things on it because you're doing so much. But why can't Lita have her own app for her own customers and her own community? So that's what we're doing with Kalero apps. My engineers, they're still building. I'm not a tech guy, but my best friend is, so he's running that side. He can build it and I can sell it. So that's where we are in our partnership. And we're looking to be out by first quarter of 2026 with that company.
Wow, so it means like every business owners they can use that app and to create their own like app kind of
Exactly,
using
exactly. Exactly from our own platform, they can have their own native mobile app. So it wouldn't be Calero apps, it would be Lita's app. All we're doing is powering you behind the scenes. So we create it, we maintain it, but it's your brand, your experience with your customers, and you own that.
wow, that is amazing. Wow, I'm definitely in. Let's see how it come out.
Yeah,
I will be one of the downloaders first.
yeah, absolutely. I love to
Sure,
have you part of our beta group. Absolutely.
sure. Jeffrey, so you are a service disabled veteran owned business, right? What
Yes,
advice
ma'am.
would you give to other veterans looking to break into the logistics or entrepreneurship world? This kind of, the top question that I wanted to ask because I have seen different posts from people who just retire from army or they became disabled and they cannot continue and after the army they get lost and they want to
Hmm.
understand what is next, how they can provide for the family, how they can service to the community. And please tell us more. What would you say?
Yeah, it's interesting because that's actually the next book that I'm writing is called Paper, and the subtitle is The Proven Checklist for Military Transition Success. And the acronym that I have for Paper is Passion, Ability, Personality, Experience, and Resources. So for any military person transitioning out, whether you're Army, Navy, Space, Air Force, you are literally a service member. So what I try to remind them of is that as a service member, how can you provide a service using service? I really push on them is that we have that same passion of providing a service. I mean, we were willing to fight and die for this country. So take that same passion and use it and pair it with your abilities. I believe that everybody has at least one supernatural gift from God that they're extremely good at, and use that ability and marry that up with the passion of being a servant leader. And then your personality. A lot of times when we come back from the military, I have anxiety things. That's why I have my service connected disability. But partner with people that can bring out the other side of the personality. We're big in the military about having a battle buddy and finding teams. So look for another person that can complement where you might have a gap in your own armor. And then leverage your experience. For me, the same thing I did in the military is the same thing I'm doing for plan logistic solutions. So leverage your experience. Everybody who's in the military is doing logistics at some level. We all do driver training. We're all moving person, places, or things from one place to another. So everybody has that kind of background, but really just knowing how to articulate it in a meaningful way so that employers can see it. And finally, the R is for use your resources. The first customer that I ever got for Plan was actually a veteran that worked at a manufacturing company. And when I cold called him, lo and behold, he was in Afghanistan at the same time that I was. So there are so many resources for military friendly companies that if you are starting your own business, go after them first. They want to invest in veterans, not just to hire them, but to also contract to them for outside work.
Yes, that is so true. Use your connections, right? Use the people that you already know or you worked with before. That's so amazing. That's the best advice that you gave. So, Jeffrey, with your experience leading with both military and civilian sectors, how would you define legacy when it comes to leadership?
Yeah, it's interesting you mentioned that. That's really what got me into writing books, is because I look at legacy. For me personally, I'm reading books like Think and Grow Rich that were written almost 100 years ago. So when I think about legacy, I'm thinking, what can outlive me? In the good book, it says a good man leaves an inheritance to his children's children. So I'm thinking about how can I leave something for my grandchildren and my great grandchildren, which to me goes back to entrepreneurship and ownership, right? I want to be able to build something that where even if my daughters don't want to run the company, they can still be a founder of the company and still have some involvement. So legacy for me is just building something that's lasting that others can build upon.
Yes, that is so amazing. Jeffrey, tell us more about your project when you go to different schools and train and coach and inspire the next generation as we speak about your daughter and your legacy.
Yeah, going into the schools, it was kind of an opportunity that fell into my lap because I just see that one of my mottos is a community in need is a community to lead. So what I found is that right now, the younger generation, Generation Z and Generation Alpha up and coming, they need leaders like us to go back and pull them up. Unfortunately, the way with the internet and social media, there's just a lot of pressure on them. But if they can see their selves in us, it immediately inspires them and motivates them to want more for themselves that regular ordinary people like you and myself can build seven-figure companies from the ground up. It just leaves something in their mouth that they can do it too.
Yes, that's so true. I had this opportunity to volunteer in middle school, and it was an amazing experience. It left me very inspired. The questions that students ask about logistics, because I think it is so important to give the right direction to the students to choose the right path, because students get into different careers and they change and change, get student loans. So it is so important to tell them like what options do they have, especially within logistics.
Absolutely, absolutely. And as we talked about, everything in a classroom, everything in a school came on a truck in the product's life cycle. So when
Yes.
you say that to them, they start looking around like, oh, there's money here, there's opportunity here. Like this desk came on a truck. Yeah, absolutely. So I think just explaining it to them that way, it instantly opens up a door for them.
Yes, Jeffrey. So now we have five fun rapid fire questions. Are you ready for that?
Absolutely,
So
absolutely.
coffee or tea, what fuels your day?
What fuels my day? Meditation and prayer. I'm bold about my faith, my relationship with Christ. So meditation and prayer to start my morning fuels me and gets me going.
I love it. Favorite leadership book besides your own?
Besides my own, Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. It changed my mindset. It made me look at opportunity in a different light and really fueled me in entrepreneurship.
One army habit you still use every day?
Waking up early. I feel like the early bird catches the worm. It sounds cliche, but I believe that there's something into just beating the sun up, as they say.
Freight market in one word right now.
Ooh, challenging.
One app you cannot live without. And hopefully Jeffrey will be back. Let's give few minutes. Well, thank you so much for your patience on this episode, and thank you, Jeffrey, so much for joining us today. It was such an inspiring conversation, and again, during this Memorial Day week, we honor your service and the service of so many others. For those listening, be sure to check out Jeffrey's book, his business, and his coaching work. And as always, thank you so much for tuning in to your bestie in freight. And I will catch you on the next one. And hopefully, we will be having a better connection. Thank you.